Ready, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
All right, good evening. Welcome to the City of Opa-locka regular commission meeting. Normally, if you look at this agenda, you will see that it's a time for us to celebrate and award our community, hear public presentations, listen to our fellow community members, and most importantly, for the 5 people that citizens of Opa-locka elected to make policy decisions on behalf of the people who voted and came here. So today, we have a virtual regular commission meeting due to the fact that we're currently under a state of emergency within the city of Opa-locka and also for the state. So pursuant to executive order number 20-69 issued by the Office of Governor Ron DeSantis on March 20th, 2020, municipalities may conduct meetings of their governing boards without having a quorum of its members present physically or at any specific location and utilizing communication media technology such as telephonic or video conferencing as provided by section 120.545B2 Florida statutes. The members of the city commission appearing remotely for this meeting are myself, Mayor Matthew Pygott, Vice Mayor Chris Davis, Commissioner Shirlene Bass, Commissioner Alvin Burke, and Commissioner Joseph Kelly. An opportunity was given to the public to email the clerk prior to the commission meeting with any questions, comments, concerns on items. We will hear that we'll hear the public comments later on the agenda during the regular commission meeting. This meeting is being live streamed at YouTube, City of Opa-locka YouTube page. Since this is a virtual meeting as authorized by the governor of the state of Florida, again, members of the public wishing to address the commission have been offered the opportunity to do so. If there are comments, they will be included as a part of the public record for this virtual meeting and would be considered by the city commission prior to taking any actions. For everyone on the call, my members of the commission, please make sure you mute your devices and unmute only when you need to speak. Everything that we say is being recorded and live streamed as is. So Madam Clerk, could you do the roll call?
Commissioner Bass?
Here.
Commissioner Burke?
Here.
Vice Mayor Davis?
Here.
Commissioner Kelly?
Present.
Mayor Pygott?
I am here. Commissioner Kelly, would you lead us in invocation?
Our Father and our God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all of the many blessings. We thank you, God, for this community. Even with this challenge, oh God, bless our world, bless our nation. Help us, oh God, to be united as one. We thank you and give your name praise. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Madam Clerk, do we have any awards, proclamations, or acknowledgements?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Are there any pulls, deletions, or deferrals on the consent agenda? All right. Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Commissioner Kelly. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Burke?
Commissioner Burke, you must unmute your mic.
Commissioner Burke?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Mayor Pygott?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly. Second by Commissioner Bass, I believe. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Vice Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Commissioner Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Pygott?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Do I have a motion to approve the regular commission meeting minutes from March 11, 2020?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Davis,
Second.
second by Commissioner Kelly. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Commissioner Burke?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott, Mayor Pygott. I can't hear you.
Can't hear him.
Turn your mic on.
It's muted, Mr. Mayor.
All right, can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can
Yeah, I
hear
had to change mics. You apologize. Yes.
Okay, motion passes 5-0.
All right. Are there any reports from District 1 and 2, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Mayor, we had 2 sets of minutes. Did we do one at a time or did we do both?
Yeah, I thought I just went through both, but I can
That's
do
fine.
another motion if necessary.
No, that's fine. If you mentioned both, then that's fine.
Okay. All right. Any reports from District 1 and 2? Madam Clerk?
No, Mr. Mayor, I don't have any reports from District 1 nor District 2.
What about public presentations?
No public presentations at this time.
All right. Citizens Forum. Do we have any comments from the public from citizens during Citizens Forum?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I do have one comment from a citizen, and the email reads as follows. Good evening. My name is Audrey Dominguez, 1147 Jan Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida. My question is regarding the resolution entering into an agreement with Kelly Janitorial Services, Inc. I noticed that Kelly Janitorial Services, Inc. had lowest bid, which is $4,719 a month, with extensive experience and will provide all the services the city needs. However, 1, how will this impact the budget? 2, what is going to happen with the current employees that have been doing this job for many years? 3, are they going to be moved to another area or terminated in the midst of all this pandemic coronavirus, which is affecting a lot of people? Thank you, Audrey Dominguez. That concludes the public comment, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Usually as in our regular commission meeting, I open up the floor for commissioners and the manager to address this, address any concerns. To the manager, do you have any comments or anything in regards to that public comment, Mr. Manager?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, with the commission moving to approve a different vendor to do cleaning, those services of the current vendor will no longer be needed. Their contract will be terminated, thus ending their relationship with the city. Now, what that company does with its employees and how they, what employment actions they do with their own employees, I can't speak of, but I do know they would have severed their relationship with the city, and we would get new employees through the new firm that we are proposing tonight.
Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is a budgeted item, and there are no city employees that will be impacted by this due to the fact that this is services that were already contracted out. All we're doing with the approval of this item is that we provided opportunity for people to bid. We selected the lowest bidder, and now we have a new company that will be coming in to do our janitorial services for Town Center 1. Is that correct, Mr. Manager? Mr. Manager? Can everybody hear me?
Mr. Mayor, that is correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you. All right. So moving on to the action items. Madam Attorney, 16B1. Oh.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Commissioner Kelly?
Yes, I know normally you would let the commission weigh in. I don't have a problem. I just wanted to make a comment to the citizen who was concerned about, what's happening now. But as you pointed out, this was a item that went out for bid. So it's not like we could have known what was going to transpire in the months ahead. So it's not that we're being insensitive, but this was already an item out. So I want to make sure that's on the record. As you pointed out, there are no city employees, but also this was bid out way before any of us realized what was taking place in terms of jobs. So I just want to put it on the record as well. Thank you, sir.
Any other comments from the rest of the commission? All right, we'd like to close citizens forum. Madam Attorney, to our action item 16B1.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, amending ordinance number 15-06, enacted by the City Commission on May 13th, 2015, the master ordinance, and ordinance 1507, enacted by the Commission on May 13th, 2015, the series ordinance, which provided for the issuance of $3,494,000 tax-exempt capital improvement revenue and refunding notes series 2015A and $5,106,000 taxable capital improvement revenue note series 2015B, collectively the notes, in order to implement the terms of a proposal by City National Bank of Florida, the bank, to modify the terms of the notes, authorizing related amendments to the note and to the notes agreement dated May 29, 2015, between the city and the bank, authorizing city officials to execute documents and to take all other necessary action in support of the foregoing, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. The first reading and public hearing was held on February the 26th, 2020. This is sponsored by the city manager.
All right, this is a public hearing item. And as I stated before, all public comments must be submitted beforehand to the city clerk. So seeing that we did not receive any public comments in regards to item 16B1, do I have a motion on this item?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Davis,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bass. The floor is open for discussion.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Burke.
what is this entailing, please? Could I get a little clarification from the city manager?
All right, Mr. Manager.
Okay, so this document pretty much outlines the process of how the city comes out of a technical default. So as the commission may know, when the city went into a state of emergency, based on a clause within your bond documents, it caused the city to go into a default. And so when a default occurs, a bank does everything they can to maintain revenues coming in to ensure that their interests are paid. So since then, they've been holding on to certain tax revenues that were coming into the city, and they were holding them in this bank account. I call it more of a, the bank term is slipping me right now, escrow, more of an escrow account setting. And then when it's time to pay our bills, our bond payments, they make our bond payments out of escrow. What this would do in essence is still keep a certain amount of money in escrow, but that other monies that are not needed in escrow, those monies be released back to the city. And that's at an estimated $2 million. The dollar amount is probably more now because we've been dealing with this for the last 6 months. Of course, this has been a subject that's been dealt with before my time and during my time. So it has taken a lot to get this on the agenda. And this will release funds that are unbudgeted at this current time to the city to do what we wish to do with it, which my advisor probably to be put it in some type of escrow fund or some type of excess fund as prescribed by our ordinances.
Okay, Mr. Manager, thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? I just want to thank the manager and the attorney for working together with this City National Bank in order to release these funds, much needed funds to the city. This is giving us a cash infusion over $2 million and releasing some funding to us, which is a big deal for the city of Opa-locka in this financial crisis that we're dealing with right now. So thank you, Madam Attorney and Mr. Manager, for your work in moving this forward. With that said, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Madam Attorney.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, amending the annual adopted general proprietary and special revenue funds budget for the fiscal year commencing October 1, 2019 and ending September 30th, 2020, adjusting revenues and expenditures as reflected in Exhibit A, providing for the expenditure of funds established by the budget, authorizing the city manager to take certain actions, providing for appropriation of all budgets and expenditures, providing for fees consistent with the appropriations and amendment, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflict and repealer, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. The first reading was held on March 11th, 2020. This is sponsored by the city manager.
Do you have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Davis,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bass. Floor is open for discussion.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes, thank you. To the manager, all of the items that are in the staff summary with the amounts that are captured in them with increases and or adjustments are sufficient to make sure that they meet what we're trying to accomplish in this amendment?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Manager.
Stand by. That is correct.
Okay. Now the one, Mr. Mayor, if I can, the one with the increased revenue without the expenditure, I guess that deals with the CRA. Which is the last one on the staff summary,
Okay,
Mr. Manager.
okay. I'm going to have my budget person chime in on that. Robert, could you chime in on that and provide some clarification for Commissioner Kelly?
What that involved was when the budget was put together, it made an estimate as to what the city's contribution was going to be and what the county's contribution is going to be. Excuse me. We know with certainty as of the 1st of December what the true numbers are. So, and it was about $200,000 more. So there is additional revenue to the CRA fund. The CRA fund was going to use some of its fund balance. The additional revenue reduced the requirement for the use of fund balance.
Okay, and thank you for that. So, Mr. Mayor, to the manager again, with that in mind, this does not have or would not have an impact on the dollars that the CRA has allocated towards the City Hall project, correct?
No, sir. It will not have any impact on that specific project at all.
Well, I'm still talking about the dollars that the CRA is supposed to be, using towards it.
Correct. It should not be any impact to that.
Okay, well, all right. I just want to make sure what that bottom line number, because I know we're contributing to CRA some dollars to go with regular city dollars to make historic City Hall project work.
It's
And I know that was
that's
coming out of-
$175,000 obligation, correct?
Well, I know it's $100 and some thousand, but I just wanted to make sure. So that would not have a negative impact based on the revenues we've already coming in. It's just going to reduce everything to the 78,000.
Correct.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Madam
This-
Attorney?
Yes, very briefly, on page 663, there is a blank there on the fifth whereas clause, which I guess was to be filled out by budget. And I just wanted to make sure that we had the information known prior to the passage, if it is known.
Is that a question to the budget director?
The budget director or the city manager, yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Manager,
It's Bob Anthony. I'm sorry, my pages aren't numbered, so I'm not quite sure which page we're talking about.
It's
Excuse me.
and through the mayor, it's the ordinance that we're on. It's the second page of the ordinance, the fifth paragraph down, and it starts with whereas to date, the city has been complying with such provisions as a result thereof.
I'm sorry, I do not have the ordinance in
Okay,
front of me. We can get it on the screen.
You know what? I may be on the previous one and I saw a blank there, so I'll scratch the question.
okay. All right. Any other discussion on this item? All right. I want to thank the manager and Mr. Atham in preparing this budget amendment. Since I've been elected official, this is the most detailed, clear budget amendment that I've been able to see and come before me as an elected official. And I want to thank you for putting it in this format so that it is very clear for the commission in order to clearly understand what changes are being made to our tax dollars and moving forward. I also want to highlight the fact that with this budget amendment, we are doing what we need to do to pay back our red light camera debt to the state of Florida. We are investing money to make sure that City Hall gets renovated, 141st Street and our road projects are completed. And there was one other thing that I wanted to touch on. Yeah, actually, I can't find it right now. But yeah, I want to thank this and moving the city forward with this budget amendment. This is what we need to do in order to ensure that we are being fiscally responsible and also using our taxpayer dollars respectively. So thank you very much for Mr. Manager and Mr. Anthem for putting this together. With that said, no other comments. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, Madam Attorney, 16B3.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, amending Article 4, Division 1, entitled Purchasing of the City of Opa-locka's Code of Ordinances, specifically amending Section 2-315 to delete the definition of commodity, transfer certain language pertaining to exclusions for contractual service to Section 2-318 of the city's Code of Ordinances, providing for a definition of supplies and replacing the word commodities with the word supplies in Section 2-315, providing for a definition of request for letters of interest, RLI, providing for a definition of request for qualifications, amending Section 2-316 to clarify the authority of the city manager relating to purchases of supplies and contractual services, amending, replacing, and renumbering Sections 2-317, 2-318, 2-319, 2-320, and 2-323 of the city's Code of Ordinances, renumbering all other sections as appropriate, providing for conflict and repealer, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in code, providing for an effective date. The first reading was held on March the 11th, and this is sponsored by the city manager.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Davis,
Yeah, good.
second by Commissioner Burke. Any discussion on this item?
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, to the manager, I saw an email, I guess I was led to believe the last commission meeting that this particular ordinance satisfies 11 of the 99 findings from the Auditor General's report. Apparently, that will be taken care of in a later amendment provided by the budget director. I just want to set the record straight and make that correction because I was led to believe that it would be addressed in this amendment. But apparently, this ordinance cleans up some of the conflicting languages. So, like how we had different levels, I believe that the manager had authority, and then ultimately the threshold was set at 25,000. So, just want to set the record straight and make that statement. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? All right, I want to thank again the manager and Mr. Anthem for putting this together. As Vice Mayor mentioned, we have quite a few findings that relates to policies and procedures, and this addresses one of those gaps. So I want to thank you for taking the time to strengthen our purchasing rules and regulations within the city of Opa-locka and bring this for us within this timely manner. So thank you very much. With that said, no other comments. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Vice Mayor Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Right, Mr. Manager, report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, fellow commissioners, Madam Clerk, and city staff. I will tell you, this report is going to be somewhat lengthy, so I'm going to be somewhat long-winded, but there's a lot of information to share. Since COVID-19, that invisible killer has shown its face here. We've been dealing with a lot of movement and a lot of change, a lot of social change, a lot of change in how the city operates, a lot of change in how we do things, a lot of change how we protect each other on a daily basis. Since this ordeal has started, Miami-Dade County's governor has put out daily briefings, daily order changes if he requires any changes to the county order, as well as monitoring changes to the state of Florida's order from Governor DeSantis's office, and also monitoring order changes amongst the municipalities within Miami-Dade County. On a weekly basis, I have a conference call with all the city managers in Miami-Dade County, and we kind of go over what we're dealing with, how things are being handled, as far as staffing goes and various different things like that. So we've been having some very, very, very good conversations in regards to those subjects. The city is in a position where eventually, and this will happen more likely by Friday, the city hall will close completely to everybody. And that is in order to ensure that a deep clean is done in the entire building without staff in the building, and allow that building to air out for 14 calendar days, which is essentially 2 weeks. We have ordered 15 new laptops, which is done through emergency procurement by myself in order to give computers to employees to work from home. Our key essential staff, most of our key essential staff did not have laptops and did not have the ability to work from home. And so we're doing that now along with the IT department to make sure the staff has what they need properly. And that's in each department, so we can still have a continuity of government. And so government can still be run during this 14-day period. Like I said, a lot of changes are happening. Us enacting a curfew has been a very positive thing. Of course, as you all know, we have our issues in our apartment complexes, mostly in the blues and the pinks. Our officers have been very diligent in regards to doing enforcement. They have not arrested anybody as of yet. As of their last report to me that I got today, this morning, they have not arrested anybody yet for a curfew violation. They have been educating, and they're in the education phase of educating our Opa-lockians on, what curfew is, what it's about, why is it occurring, and having conversations about social distancing and maintaining a safe living environment. And so that's what we basically have done. I stand ready to assist our commission, our vice mayor, mayor, and whatever initiatives that you guys want to sponsor moving forward to kind of support our special special groups that we have, such as our seniors and our youth. We want to be able to do outreach, in the blues and the pinks as well. We want to be able to educate and develop a family-oriented environment, a family-oriented relationship with our residents. So everything is not confrontational and everything is peaceful and it's showing care and compassion and showing that you have a heart and that you truly care about their well-being when approaching our residents compared to what our residents are accustomed to. And that's a learning curve that we have to deal with. I sent an email out to the commission this week asking about individual priorities, that'd be legislative goals, individual priorities that you have, any programs that you guys want sponsored that the manager's office can assist in providing staffing and personnel or any other resources that are needed. I'm going into this next 6 months in a very different perspective. And that perspective is essentially that I will have my staff and myself address the commission as one entity and not one individual person. So if one piece of information goes out to one, then it goes out to all. If there's anything the manager's office have ideas with about doing things, that we share with the entire commission, and those individual commissioners can make their individual decisions of if they want to participate or how they want to help and go from there. But what I don't want to do is broach on people's territories. And every single commissioner sitting on this dais has a niche and they have a gift that they have and that they've been providing to the city for years. So what I want to do is have my staff help out as best as possible with at least conflict and make sure that everybody's initiatives and everybody's goals are successful and they're plentiful and they're peaceful. And so that is kind of my goals going forward and kind of a purpose of an email I sent out earlier this week. Now let's talk about 99 findings, the operational audit and our audits. Let's talk about those things. So our audits are looking good. We're looking at meeting the target date. We got a 45-day extension due to COVID-19. And we will hit that date required for that audit to be submitted without the city being penalized. The finance department has been working very aggressively to get those tasks and jobs required done. As far as the 99 findings, Robert is working with the department heads and kind of trying to get policy and procedure written out for each department to address each issue. As you all know, COVID-19 came up. We had a little bit of a slowdown, a little bit of a stagnation of what's coming in. But after the staff meeting today that I had with the staff, I assure you that stagnation will not exist anymore and that we'll move full steam ahead. And in order to fulfill the commission's goals and desires of making sure when the Auditor General comes back out in November, December timeframe, that we have actually significant and succinct changes in place. As far as the 5-year plan is concerned, I've spoken to my budget director. We're waiting for this next audit to be completed, which it should be completed shortly. He's going to work off those numbers, work off some other numbers that he has, and he's going to start drafting the 5-year plan with the assistance of the state. The state has agreed to provide technical assistance to the city to get the 5-year plan accomplished. So that is what we will be looking at moving forward. As far as public safety, and as far as public safety and law enforcement is concerned, our officers are working very hard on these streets. They just came off of Alpha Bravo, where they were required to work at least a week with no days off. Then we did Alpha, where the night shift didn't have worked 3 days with no days off. So you had both shifts on at the same time. And then this week, I conferred with the chief, and we are adding an additional 4 officers on the street at night to help with curfew. But we made those voluntary positions where they can volunteer for the overtime and not be mandated. And that has been quite successful, kind of moving forward. I don't know, that's everything I have to say. If I missed anything, please feel free to ask, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions.
Any questions for the manager?
Mr. Mayor?
Vice Mayor Davis?
Yes, not really a question, but just want to bring forth a couple of things I got from my board Miami-Dade League of Cities meeting. One of the things that they recommended was as far as police enforcement, and by the way, thank you to our police department and the manager for educating our community and really handle this matter in the most diligent way. But in addition to going out and educating the public, what I've noticed other cities have done was take, the masks, not the N95s, the expensive ones that are hard to find, that are, I think, only reserved for first responders, but the basic mask. And what they've done is not distributed to their residents at large within their municipalities. They have just kind of focused their police departments around different hotspots within the city and ultimately disseminated the mass that way. I don't know if it's within budget, or I don't know if any other cities have reached out. They did mention that Frank Rollison, who sits on the oversight committee, actually is involved in the EOC, and they may be a point of contact. So that might be a good starting point. In addition to that, I sent an email to Mr. Grice referencing the unemployment applications that many residents, I don't know if you guys have got any phone calls, but I've gotten a lot from residents that have lost their jobs. What I asked Mr. Grice to do is reach out to the website in Spanish, English, and Creole. And what we could do is displace them throughout the city, working through the clerk and the manager's office, and hopefully put out something on our either social media or digital platforms throughout the city to get that information out there. In addition to that, one thing I've noticed other cities are doing, as they all are experiencing budget constraints during this emergency matter, is tracking their spending. Many local governments are hopeful that some sort of reimbursement may happen in the near future, whether it be FEMA or money coming down from the federal government in general. Of course, that requires the federal government to make to declare this as a national disaster, which is yet to occur, right? But what I would recommend to the manager, I don't know what type of expenditures are being expended at the moment, But just be diligent in tracking that information, because I know that was a point of reference that Commissioner Kelly and others have said that might have stifled our reimbursements in many other cities who also experienced that. So just kind of try to get ahead of that. And I don't know if we're doing anything, but if we're spending anything, make sure we're tracking it, because at some point we're hopeful that it'll be reimbursed. But thanks again for all the good work. And with that, I'm done with my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor Davis. Commissioner Bass.
Yes, to the city manager. Just a quick question. You mentioned about City Hall, Town Center one building being closed for 2 weeks. I missed a date. Did you give a date of closing and opening?
We do not have a date slated as of yet.
Mhm.
My push is to be closed by Friday, but that is looking at our laptops coming in and making sure our IT department has everybody set up to work from home. Once that's
Okay.
occurred, then I can provide a solid date.
Okay, thank you. And one more question. That's only the Town Center Hall building, or that includes all of our city buildings?
That would be all city buildings.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly.
thank you, because I could hardly hear some of the comments the manager was making. Let me go back to the vice mayor, because I know I mentioned it. I'm glad he brought it up as well. I know, Mr. Manager, you're tracking the whatever can be reimbursed. And I know we've been declared a disaster, whatever you want to call it, first declaration. So I know you're probably keeping aware of the expenditures and the like. But I was trying to get a clarity on something you said earlier in your report about the orders coming down. And I was specific because I know the county mayor comes down with these different orders. The orders that he's previously sent down, have any of them been rescinded other than the one for the liquor stores we addressed the other day?
No, there hasn't been any recension of any
Try to
county
speak
order.
up, I can't hardly hear you.
There hasn't been any recension on any county orders at this point since our last meeting.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess I won't hold up time with this meeting, but I guess I'll ask the attorney, because there appears to be some businesses in the city that are still open that when I read the order should be closed, but I'll ask the attorney about that another time. The other thing you mentioned in reference to, you said City Hall be closed, and Mr. Bash has asked you about city buildings, or that all employees?
So when this closure happens, that'd be all city buildings, and all employees will be directed to shelter at home. Employees with computers will be teleworking, meaning they'll be still allowed to work. Those are essential employees, and then non-essential employees will just be at home getting a check for 14 days because there's no preclusion of not paying them.
Okay. All right. And you said you're hoping Friday, but you're not sure?
I am optimistically saying Friday, but I'm working on the hard work and effort of my IT department, imaging and putting together 15 laptops for 15 different people and several different departments.
Okay, and I didn't hear you address the vice mayor's concern, or not concern, but his suggestion about what other cities are doing in terms of the mask. Do we have a inventory of them? That's something we could do in terms of masks and or gloves, for that matter.
So the city's been stuck in the same situation as some of our partners. There's orders out there. They're back ordered. We are attempting to order masks, a great deal of them. but they just haven't came through yet. Like I said, I just approved the emergency PO requisition today for the police department to get additional masks for public safety. We also have requests out to the county to obtain masks on web ELC, and those haven't came to full fruition yet. But we do have those requests pending out there requesting a mask. And as soon as we get enough in our inventory where we're able to issue to our first responders and our staff, which is not many, I have no problem with us issuing masks or even trying to find additional more masks to give out.
Obviously, I'm not referring to the ones for the first responders, but just the simple mask. So I guess we're waiting and we can't reach out. Mr. Rollison's ahead of EOC down in the county, as he mentioned. So I guess that's a good point of contact that you can follow through as well. You also mentioned that the police were doing educating, really hadn't had to arrest anyone, which is good. Has there been any further discussions with the apartment complex owners about beefing up their security since they're doing it? I'm still getting calls and/or complaints about people kind of hanging around and hanging out. I know we don't want to arrest folks, but we can't keep running over there every 2 minutes. I know when I mentioned it Friday and it came up, you said y'all had some initial meeting. We're going to do some follow-ups. Has that occurred yet?
Through the mayor, I'd like to defer that answer to the chief of police.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
He's asking for the chief to respond to that one. So Chief, you have the floor, Chief Dobson.
Good evening. Yes, sir. Commissioner Kelly, I met with the security department back in the Blues area, and they were supposed to add additional. I spoke to the manager there for the security company, named Maria. We actually spoke to the security director for the Cordova, and they're in the process of also trying to add an additional couple of more hours with their security. So those two properties I did personally myself, and they are trying to beef up their security. Yes.
Okay, I hear all the correct words, trying and whatever, but again, I'm concerned because residents in those areas, those apartment complexes, are still very concerned about public safety. And I know our intent is not to arrest folks, but as I said, we can't sit over there. So I hope you all come to some kind of resolution. If you all deem that they're not beefing up or doing what they're supposed to do, I know you're keeping a track of how many calls you get in that area, that you would let, obviously, the manager and the manager let the commission know, because I'm very concerned about that as well.
Yes, sir, we will do. And just as the manager spoke earlier, his approval of the additional 4 officers. What we've done and continue to do now, just as we started again last night, is with 2 and approximately 4 of those 4 officers are getting out doing foot patrols on the hours to make sure no one's hanging out. And we've actually been very successful with them out doing the foot patrol. And we really haven't had any confrontation there so far in the last few days. Everyone has actually been in compliance on all the apartment complexes with the curfew. So that's definitely been a help with those additional 4 bodies. But I would definitely add whatever information I have back to the manager's office if we don't get that security company beefed up.
And my final thing, Mr. Mayor, to the manager, I know the police are out there, I see them, but I've also received concerns that some of our officers are very, how would you say, very strict on enforcing whatever we're doing, and then some are very kind of lax off of it. So I know that's, that's a human thing in some regards, but we just need to be kind of more consistent. I've had situations where people have said to me that live in the area where our park's at, for example, Shabandi, some officers will make sure no folks are there. Other officers kind of not say anything. The same thing goes about for the, Scheherazade in the medium and other places where people like to congregate. You just need to make sure if we can, that everybody's consistent so we're on the same page, so nobody feel like they're getting singled out, because the orders and the ordinances and the rules are already there in place. So hopefully we can just make sure we follow up on that. The last thing, Mr. Manager, and I know Tallahassee shut down, in terms of what's going on even after they passed the budget. Did we receive any information on or feedback of anything we were trying to accomplish up there?
So everything that we were trying to accomplish, they placed the bill on hold, held in abeyance indefinitely. That's what each bill of ours says, held in abeyance indefinitely.
I wasn't really talking about, you're talking about, which bill are you talking about now?
I'm talking about all the financial bills that we had out there.
So they just put them on hold?
Yeah, held in abeyance indefinitely, which means you don't know if they're going to bring it up at the next session or not.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right,
Mayor
anyone
Peggy.
else?
Mayor Peggy, to the city manager.
Commissioner Bass?
I heard Vice Mayor speaking about some of the things other cities are doing. I was wondering if our city manager was thinking about enforcing the mask. Everyone, as you leave your house wearing a mask. I know it's being done in Miami Beach. So I was wondering if we were, contemplating also implementing that, because I think that will go a long way also to go along what we're doing to make our city a little bit safer.
So that would require our orders to be a little bit more stringent when it comes to wearing a mask. The President of the United States, the Governor of Florida, and the Miami-Dade County Mayor, if you read their orders, they're urging people to wear masks. They're advising people to wear masks. So when you're using terminology like that, you can't force anybody to wear a mask. Now, if you guys pass legislation, which can be more strict than the state and the county, you in your order can say you must wear a mask. Then my question to you, playing devil's advocate, would be, I can do that, but if they don't have a mask, does the city have a mask to give them?
Yeah.
I'll be all for it if we had masks that we can give out to people to kind of enforce it.
Okay, how many masks are you anticipating that the city will be able to get, if so?
Those numbers vary. Chief, the PO that went out today, how many masks was that for?
I requested, I think it was 2,000.
Okay.
Okay. That's a drop in the bucket. We have 16,000 residents approximately.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else for the manager?
Mr. Mayor, if I may real quick,
Mayor?
just to piggyback off what Commissioner Bass said, the 2,000, it is actually a drop in the bucket. I know it was referenced in the call earlier with the league that I think bare minimum to become I guess a priority city, you have to order at least 5,000 or more. So maybe, I don't know what's within budget or what numbers we're looking at, but maybe looking at maybe scaling the order up. I mean, I would be in support of it. I can't speak for the rest of the commission. I know Commissioner Bass, alluded to, we have 16,000 residents, that's not even a fourth. So, I mean, of course, we know we probably not in the financial situation to provide masks for everyone, which I wouldn't, recommend. But, having hearing what other cities have done, I'll be under the impression that, we could focus maybe on hotspots. Like, again, everybody doesn't need a mask because, everyone's not really necessarily leaving their homes. So we're focusing on residents that are out in the community, that are jogging, that are, patronizing our businesses. I think that we could be a lot more efficient in how we distribute it. But again, I would like to see more because again, that's not even a fourth of our residents. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Burke.
you got the city of Miami Beach, you got the city of Miami, and is it Bay Harbor? All of those cities now, to enter a store, you must have a mask on. Okay, and I don't think they're handing out masks, but those cities, in order to enter a store, you must have a mask on. Okay, when you look around this city, you see this city is wide open. You still got businesses open. You still got people going to work every day. You still got people coming to the city, going to the parts stores or going to the junkyards. You still got people walking around the city with no mask, no gloves, nothing. Our city is wide open. And until we get in step with the other cities about these essential business, you're gonna tell me the car wash next to the pawn shop, that's an essential business? But it's open. And you got these people coming and getting their cars washed. Until we get serious about closing our city down, we got people coming in every day going to work. Until we get serious about closing our city down and stopping these people from coming in, ain't no sense in us worrying about people walking around with no mask, with mask on. We got to get about the business of shutting down these non-essential businesses in the city. You got the car wash over there every day, washing cars. Is that essential? You ride down 22nd Avenue, ride down 27th Avenue, Alabama. All of them open over there, and you got people going into work there every day. Is everything over there essential? Until we get serious about closing our city down and doing what the other cities are doing, there's no sense in us worrying about no mask. We got to get a grip on our city first. And until we do that, you know, nothing's gonna happen. Because like I say, you got people going to work here every day. You got people coming in to the city every day, going to these different places. So we have to get about the business of having just the essential businesses open in the city like everybody else. And like I say, I'm sure the people will cooperate. But if I look across the street and see the car wash going, you know, I'm saying, well, I'm coming to work too. So I just say, Mr. Mayor, we got to get serious, like the rest of the city. Like I say, what city is there? One of the cities, you can't even go in there. You can't even visit their city. They don't shut their city down. If you don't, and I'm not talking about Key West. It's one of them islands on the beach of Bay Harbor or one of them places. If you don't live there, you can't even visit there. So I'm just saying, Mr. Mayor, we still got a lot of work to do. Thank you.
Mayor, Mayor to Commissioner Burke.
Yes,
Commissioner
sir.
Burke,
Yes,
you're 100% right. There are other cities with more stringent rules in regards to that, and I'm open to hearing those ideas and getting a proper legal opinion. And if that's something you guys want, I have no problem calling an emergency meeting so that can occur.
Legal opinion. I'm sorry.
All right, any other comments for the manager?
Just one quick question. Mayor Paget.
Commissioner Bass.
Thank you. I don't know who was able to answer my question. I just wanted to know, does anybody know the count, our count of the COVID-19 in the city?
65.
Thank you.
What was the question?
How many people within the city of Opa-locka has been diagnosed with, have tested positive for COVID-19? That number is 65. Is actually,
Yeah, and it's changing it's going up every day. Mr. Mayor?
hold on. And just to get understanding, that is pretty high for a city of our size. Area-wise and population-wise. So please keep that in mind. This is a very serious, I'll talk more about it in my report. But yes, we are at 65. Let's wrap this up. This is the longest back and forth with the manager we've ever had. So is there any other comments for the manager before we open up the floor for the mayor commission reports?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I don't want to pull on the time, but I think the manager was asking if there was direction. I would just say for the record, I have reached out and had a conversation with him about this issue and also with the attorney, but I was not going to proffer it tonight because I'm concerned about the cost of masks and all of that. So I was trying to get a little more information before I would propose anything. So I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
All right, moving on to the mayor and commission reports. Any reports from the commission? Commissioner Bass, do you have anything? Commissioner Kelly? Do you have anything, Commissioner Kelly?
Mr. Mayor, other than thank everybody for the efforts, obviously, on the feeding. I know we're, as the manager said, we're trying to all work collectively on addressing some of these concerns that we obviously have in our city, and seeing that number steadily going up and the demand for food. I'm quite sure all of us are getting calls. So we just gotta work a little more diligently and come up with some plans going forward that we're all working together to help our city. I'll leave it at that for the moment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor Davis, do you have any report?
No, Mr. Mayor, I addressed everything in my remarks earlier to the manager. Just had a few best practices from other cities to contribute and put up for discussion. Thank you.
Actually, I didn't say this, but thank you very much for sitting on the board for the League of Cities on behalf of the city of Opa-locka and being able to relay that information back to us. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Kelly?
Mr. Mayor?
You have another report? What's going on?
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to, because I was going to do it in my report, so I just wanted to also thank the city attorney for the clarification that she sent out in her email reference to authority and powers. I just wanted to thank her for that, because that added a lot of clarity from the discussion we had on Friday. Thank you, sir.
Do you have anything else?
That's it.
All right, Commissioner Burke, do you have any?
Yes, real brief, Mr. Mayor. I just want to inform the city manager and the police chief that, you know, we have a lot of fine officers in our city. I got a call just yesterday at we had a police officer ran into a family that needed food, and he went in his own pocket and went and bought that family food. Those are the type of officers we have in our city. He could have written them off, or he could have directed them someplace else. But I guess in his heart, he felt this family really needed it. And this police officer went to the store and came back with groceries for this family. And I'm gonna try to find out who it was, because I think he should be recognized. But these are the kind of people we have in our city working for us. And Those are the type that we need. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, anyone else have any other final comments? We wrap up. All right. So I also want to thank the manager, all the employees and the staff, the commission during this time of crisis that we're currently involved in right now. This is unprecedented for in the history of this city to have to deal with something of this nature. As I mentioned earlier before, we're currently at 65 positive cases within the city of Opa-locka, which is an extremely high number. I want to make sure the public is aware that this city, as you see with many of my colleagues and commissioners, are very much so active in ensuring that our residents are safe, that this virus isn't spread, and that we can do as much as we can to assist the people of the city of Opa-locka. With that, we declared a state of emergency. We declared safer at home. We put in place a curfew. We're currently making calls to seniors, and we're conducting food drives. We actually conducted one of the largest food drives in quite a while in this area last week. I've asked the manager and to find out how much funding we can allocate to special projects to deal with this crisis in terms of ordering masks, providing for food drives. And also I've been asking about the manager's office about consolidating the food drives within the city of Opa-locka. Through our partners at Feeding South Florida and Farm Share, there are a number of organizations throughout the city of Opa-locka. I think it's about 3 or 4 that are receiving food. And sometimes it's not as widely known. So I asked the manager and our legislative aide to get in touch with all of those different organizations and try and consolidate those food drives. So hopefully we can have at the very least a weekly food drive for the people of Opa-locka, along with delivering food to our seniors, along with those calls that we're already making to those in our senior programs. So I just want to shout out to all the employees, all the police officers, the commission that came together to put on a very successful food drive for the city. And just to make sure that we're clear on how we move, I've asked the attorney to provide more of a clarity in terms of how we move in this emergency. So that's what Commissioner Kelly referenced in terms of the powers of the mayor, commission, and manager during this crisis, so that we know how we can move and best serve our citizenry. As a part of that, I've also asked for a clear understanding of our how we coordinate events within the city of Opa-locka, ensuring that we are clear about how us as a commission coordinate events, host events, fundraise for events, so that we're moving as a unit. So I'm hoping to find a legal opinion on that pretty soon, so that we're very clear about how we can move and best address these issues that we're dealing with. And along with that, that's also part of one of our operational audit finding. So we want to make sure that we're clear during this time of crisis, and that we're careful. We are, even though we're dealing with this pandemic all across the city, we're also dealing with the financial crisis. So the work that needs to be done with the audits and 5-year recovery plan, operational audit, I doubt that we'll get leniency down the line due to COVID-19. So I've been making sure that we do stay on top of the 5-year recovery plan, the audits, and those things, so that we're very clear about what we can do. I was advised by our budget administrator and Mr. Pate that due to the impact of COVID-19 on revenues that will come into the city, like our gas tax, our tax dollars, they want to be a lot more careful during this crisis about how we're spending funds and how much money we have available to do that. So things have been cautious, but I'm strongly encouraging that we figure out what we can do. As Commissioner Bass and the rest of the commission brought up in terms of this order to move with the mask. I am in support of that, but I do support what the manager is saying, that if we're going to implement that order, we need to at least be able to provide masks to people. And I think that's important for us as a city to do, is if we find someone that has issues, to really go out and provide them a mask if they need it. So I'm hoping that, because we're a small municipality, and even though we got 2,000, if we do what Vice Mayor said, up that to 5,000 masks, I'm sure that will be enough to at least start to pass these out to residents that our officers encounter, if we do move in that direction to require masks throughout the city. This is something serious, and we got to do everything that we can to address it. So much respect, Mr. Manager, Chief, and all the staff, and everybody that's been involved in making sure that our community thrives during this crisis and pandemic that we're dealing with. So much respect. With that, that concludes my mayor's report. Madam Clerk, are there any board applications at the moment?
No, Mr. Mayor, not at the moment.
All right, so for all those that are watching online, please get involved with the city. Reach out to the city clerk so that we can make sure that you are involved, and we have boards that need people to step up and be leaders within the city of Opa-locka. So I strongly encourage you to apply so that we can appoint you and you can serve in the city of Opa-locka. With that said, are there any other final thoughts before we adjourn?
No, sir.
Mayor Paget, I would just like to say, be safe out there. You know, don't take it light. I heard from a resident today who has so far lost 2 family members in Chicago, and just afraid to even call because most likely it's going to be another family member. So let's keep in the house, leave when we must, be prayerful, just be conscious of everybody, and just take care of yourself, because like our mayor said earlier, we've never seen this before, and we don't know how bad it's going to get. We just need to just be in a place of just be cautious, be careful. And for those of you who need someone to talk to, because we know sometimes it gets really depressing, reach out, dial the numbers, and get to talking to somebody, because our mental state is at stake. So let's just be careful and be mindful. Just love on your family members, because we might be here today and we're gone tomorrow. And to all of you who I work with, my colleagues, God bless you. I love you all, and stay safe.
All right. Anyone else? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Mayor, just real quick.
Vice Mayor Davis?
The manager, he brought up, I think, you brought up referencing the manager about just this emergency situation and experiencing financial hardships. One point of reference that I left out that other cities are doing are looking at their franchise agreements. So I think our commercial garbage is one, and what they've been asking for, if it's, I guess, assumed to be renewed, what cities of Crawford is asking for those franchise fees up front to help supplement shortfalls and within the budget. So I'm just throwing that out there, just taking ideas from other cities that we're all leaning on each other to, make it through this emergency situation.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Moved by Commissioner Bass, second by Vice Mayor Davis. Everyone, please stay safe during this time of crisis. We are here as a city. If you have any thoughts, please reach out on the city website, follow the Facebook page, go to the city website. There's a notify me section where you can get notified of any emergency orders that we have through text, through email, through phone calls. So please take advantage and be connected to the city of Opa-locka. We are here for you. If you want calls or wellness checks, please go to the website, call the city manager's office and the parks department, and they can do wellness checks. So thank you very much for this time. Everyone, please stay safe. We will get through this together as a city. So thank you very much, and everyone have a good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.